Hi, I know most of you in the room, a few of you I don't. My name is Linda Cavazos. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. A large part of my practice is working with children and teens. Before I was a therapist for the last 17 years, I was a school teacher. So for over 30 years, I have worked primarily with children and teens and with their families. At the city, as our city is visited this week, by the latest count I saw was over 61,000 people being lured in by the effective marketing of the NRA, the gun manufacturers, and the gun show people to come and spend a lot of money. I think about the huge profits that will be made. After I think about those huge profits, I start thinking, what if the gun manufacturers and the gun show sponsors, such as Remington Outdoor Company and Smith & Wesson, would allocate just a portion, not all their profits, I mean, it's a business, a portion of those profits toward responsible, accountable marketing of their products, instead of donating millions to the NRA to block and obstruct more effective gun violence prevention laws? What if, instead of pouring millions of dollars into campaigns to get guns into the hands of more and younger children, some of the advertisements I looked up on the NRA, the age requirement was 10 years old. They sent some of these profits into funding programs for gun safety education instead of trying to intensify their profits, raise their profits by appealing to an ever and ever younger population every year. What if, instead of marketing an affordable, and this is what it said on the ad, an affordable military-style rifle for junior shooters and sponsoring semi-automatic handgun competitions for youth, the gun manufacturers instead would come to the table with us, with gun violence prevention advocates, help us with their expertise to craft better and more effective gun laws? What if instead of offering coupons in Junior Shooters magazine for $350 off the cost of buying a Bushmaster AR-15, a coupon, that money could go toward providing some guidelines for responsible advertising for firearms. Right now in this country, the gun industry has intensified their youth marketing effort. The NSSF, which is the National Shooting Sports Foundation, that's the tax-exempt trade association for the gun industry, they're initiating many new youth initiatives. Huge amounts of money are being poured into such new projects. I'll tell you about one of them. It's called the Scholastic Steel Challenge, introducing children as young as 12 to competitive handgun shooting using steel targets, with Smith & Wesson and Glock donating 60 9mm semi-automatic pistols, according to the group's website. The comments on the website are, "My kid had a ball, they loved it," etc. I looked up a couple of the guidelines. My husband owns guns. I'm not a gun owner myself. And so I looked up some of the guidelines for what is the normal age of a child or a youth for being able to even have the coordination for a handgun. And the average age was somewhere around 16 to 18. One gun advocate actually said, "I didn't fire a handgun until I was 21. I don't know how they're safely going to teach these kids how to handle one of those handguns." But the coupons are there and the advertising is there. My biggest what-if question, however, occurs to me constantly. What if we could spare even one family from going through the unspeakable grief that I've witnessed every single year, 17 years since I became a therapist? And even before that, as a high school and university instructor, one year we had 3 suicides at the high school where I was teaching, and they were all with guns. The grief from losing a husband, a wife, a brother, a sister, and all too frequently now, a young child, to senseless gun violence. Accidental shootings, as Teresa was talking about, that usually involved an unsecured loaded gun, or suicides, domestic violence with a gun in the house. The youngest suicide that I have had in 17 years was 9 years old. He was 9 years old, he knew how to handle a gun, and he found an unsecured gun, and he shot himself in the head. The family will never recover from that. Are they doing better with therapy? Yes, but they will never, ever recover from that, and neither will his siblings. All situations that we could better address with more effective gun laws, but we are constantly fighting an uphill battle. The huge amounts of money that are being poured into blocking these efforts that would save lives. We require toy companies. They can't put out a toy that could possibly choke your child. What happens? They have to recall it, they have to put something out, but we allow these gun manufacturers to do this advertising that they're not accountable for, and to be able to just go on trying to obstruct more effective gun control laws. We need constructive, not obstructive action. We need it now. We're not going to give it up. Our children and our communities deserve this, and with all of your help, we're going to get it done. Thank you for your attention, and thank you for being here today.
I hope my glasses help. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to follow someone who was an educator and is still an educator, just in a new capacity. It's also an honor to be here in part in my capacity as a member of the board of directors of ProgressNow, an organization that's not only fighting this righteous battle, but fights many righteous battles here in the state of Nevada. It's also an honor and a privilege to be here with all of you. You are representative, actually, of a much broader swath of the public here in the state, here in our valley, here in our state, and in our country, who want to be part of an important public conversation about gun violence and about how to effectively address that problem in a meaningful way. I'm also here in my capacity as the executive director of the Nevada State Education Association, which is the association that represents about 25,000 public school educators here, teachers and education support professionals, bus drivers, food service workers, librarians, all of the people who work hard every day to ensure that our kids are in an environment where they can learn and thrive and flourish. I've been the NSCA director for only 3 years. And in 3 years, I have already lived through too many tragedies that have taken place in schools around our country, and in fact in schools right here in the state of Nevada. Those are heartbreaking tragedies that have the kinds of consequences that you've already heard about. Every single time one of those tragedies occurs, they disrupt the kind of safe learning environment that our teachers and our students and their families have every right to expect are going to exist in our public education system. We cannot expect educators to do their jobs. We cannot expect students to succeed if we don't provide them with a basic sense of security and safety. That is the necessary condition for kids to learn. And it is a necessary condition for educators to help them learn. Parents should not be afraid to send their kids to school. Kids should not fear being in their classrooms. And teachers shouldn't be afraid, or education support professionals shouldn't be afraid to go to work. Fear should not be a part of their daily lives or of the daily lives of their families. It is time for all members of our community, including gun manufacturers, to come together in an effort to prevent gun violence. And you've already heard, and I can't improve on the eloquence of the previous speakers, gun manufacturers have an obviously critical role to play in all of that. Working together, we need to do a lot of things to eliminate gun violence. In the state of Nevada, Lord knows one thing we need to do is fund and improve our mental health system.
Yes.
I don't think there's any question about that. And we need to improve mental health reporting laws and policies in our state. Together, we need to engage in the kind of public dialogue and conversation that this press conference is a part of.